Established in 1903, Sydney Adventist Hospital, the largest and most comprehensive private hospital in New South Wales, owes its existence to the pioneering spirit of influential figures throughout our history. Today, we're fortunate to hear from three visionary leaders whose foresight and determination not only shaped our institution, but transformed healthcare in New South Wales for the better. These visionaries drew on the best ideas from across the globe and applied a mission focus to all the initiatives they introduced at the hospital. They also championed the concept of whole person health, recognising that if we are truly to provide the best possible care, we need to treat the whole person, body, mind and spirit. Introducing innovative and progressive ideas always comes with challenges. However, through these obstacles, these leaders thrived and they rallied teams to collectively implement remarkable changes together. Hearing their stories reminds us that extraordinary things are possible. Their legacy and profound impact is with us every day, and for that we are grateful.
Ellen White was a very clever woman. She developed friendship with this man, John Wessels, the South African. He was incredibly wealthy. He owned what later became the Kimberley Diamond Mine. When I came to Australia, I asked the church, the General Conference, if I could have all of the documents with the name Sydney Sanitarium in them in their archives. And there were Ellen White's letters. There was one to John Wessels, and she called him Brother John. She said, "John, you're a very wealthy man, but the money is not yours. The money is God's money. I want you to go to Australia and help us with the building of the Sydney Sanitarium."
Oh, the old building was beautiful. It really was. It was all wooden, 2 stories. It just looked like an old country village, but it was a beautiful building.
The San was a building that was recognised far and wide, and there was talk of it becoming a heritage building, in other words, a building that should not be demolished or changed. That did not eventuate for one simple reason, and that is that it was the greatest fire risk in Sydney. It was built entirely of timber. That was one of the 2 important factors which led the church to believe that we had to have a new building. And the second factor is it was a 150-bed hospital, and the nursing board had stated that there should be an increase the number of beds a hospital should have to train nurses.
I came back to Australia because I got a call from headquarters in Australia, Dr. Clifford and Pastor Frame. The San was ready for a change. See, the staff had very little training. We had to upgrade a lot of people for dialysis, for cardiac, for the things we were introducing. We needed people that were upgraded.
The San in those days was a wonderful place. It was like a family. Dr. Bert Clifford and Rosemary Radley and their staff, they were good days. We had a lot to do with the nurses in training in those days. San nurses all around Australia are highly respected, and many places overseas are sought after.
I used to fight on the board for my nurses. They didn't see paying their fees and salary while they were upgrading. We fought because we wanted the hospital to come up to the standard it should come. It was planning, training, working. It was a very busy time, but we never had the nurses say, "I can't do this" or "I can't do that." They were thrilled to see the hospital moving ahead.
I understand a church's position. A church has members' money. a church runs on the funds of its membership. But an enterprise like the SAN, which earns its resources, is on a different financial platform really, and must be open to a degree of risk. I used to, sometimes I asked the board whether they were willing to take a risk for God. It was a very interesting time, and there was a convergence of a number of factors that demanded change and facilitated change. One of them, of course, was the very great advancement in most areas of medical specialty. I'm thinking of surgery, thinking of radiotherapy, thinking of cancer care. These were all areas, and many others, in which there were very great advances.
I was asked to come to the SAN in 1978 as chaplain. I worked on the wards, loved it. Eventually though, I was assigned to the cancer ward, and that's where I was for many years. I could see also in this great need, the psychological and social support that were needed for people after they'd been diagnosed and left the hospital. So the whole concept, we worked on the amalgamation of the accommodation and the support groups. And we had a wonderful time with a lot of our fabulous surgeons in those days gave us lectures on breast cancer, prostate cancer, bowel cancer, and the allied health from the hospital and around helped us. It was a real success.
Anything of any substance in the clinical sense was referred to the public system. I saw in this an opportunity for great development, for leadership in fact. So if you like, the idea of developing a leadership in the private hospital sector was very attractive. The establishment of cardiac surgery at the SAN had a tremendous influence on the care of heart patients in New South Wales. Cardiac thoracic surgery before the 1975, 78, cardiothoracic surgery was considered outside of the purview of the private system. It required the public hospital system, and particularly the teaching hospital system. At the time, we had a visiting American, a cardiac surgeon, spent some time with us. He suggested to me one day that he thought that the SAN had sufficient facilities to be able to offer a successful cardiac program. That man was Dr. Don Wilson. I took up that idea. It would require the development of intensive care unit, cardiac care unit, with trained nurses. And this is where nursing, and I think this is where Rosemary as leader came in. So we believed it could be done, and I guess we spent 6 months working on planning, preparing people, preparing personnel. It was at that point that we had a lot of opposition. I had to persuade our board that we could manage the risks. The other opposition came from the public hospitals, and I believe that that was self-interest. They were protecting their coop because it had been confined to the public hospital system, and here was a private hospital coming into their field. Interesting thing is that within 6 months, there was so much cardiac surgery required in Australia, because it became, coronary artery disease is the most common killer. So cardiac surgery went on from strength to strength. It became an anchor of the hospital, and that was a great move towards our prosperity. Doreen was a long life partner. She passed away 3 years ago. We were married for 66 years. She took up nursing when I studied medicine because she visualized that the time would come, particularly in mission work, where she could support me in that. Doreen came back to set up the cardiac cath lab, which of course is the foundation of heart surgery work.
Well, Dad always said to me, don't surround yourself with people below you. Get the best you can find and you will learn from them and they'll learn from you. Well, the SAN was a really special place because the patients who came liked their nursing care. They were well looked after.
I think what I am proud of is the people who inspired me, the people who work day after day, giving everything they've got. I can't speak highly enough of the people that are in this place. I love them. I would go nowhere else. The SAN is my home.
People, I think, who have a consciousness of working for a cause have something that is very strongly motivational. There's a larger picture. It goes beyond the heart surgery and the hernia repair. It goes on to the care of the whole person, and it goes on from there to a Christian ministry to the world. So what we are looking at is really the healing of the world. Once one has a conception of that's what you're involved in, it becomes exciting, and it stays exciting. And I think a staff with that conception will always run away ahead.